Alright, my name is Catlin Williams, and you're watching Sasquatch Outdoors. It is springtime.
Hi.
Oh, and Eleanor wants to say hi.
Hi.
Alright, so for those of you that watch regularly, you're probably wondering midwinter what happened to me. Um, I was still fishing, but I was having some issues with my Mega Live, and to be completely honest, I was bored of fishing in the same few spots. Did a lot of like touring around, but just didn't really put a whole lot of video content together. I was just kind of enjoying the moment, trying new things, and yeah, it's just I still like to fish, and sometimes it's just not about making videos for me, and I guess that's just the way it is. Um, but yeah, anyways, we're getting ready for spring fishing, and we're just gonna start gearing up. So we're gonna start putting some tackle together. I'm gonna go over some of the tackle that I like to use and prep, and I don't know, maybe I'll find some tips with it. So springtime, I usually target walleye, and once water temps get up, they will be in the shallows spawning. So kind of some good spots to look for is like kind of long, flat, sandy shallows. If you got spots with like culverts coming in or river flow, those can be good spots too. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna look for them. I found another good spot too recently. I found if you can find near these flat areas, if they got like good little drop offs, a lot of time the male fish, so like the good eater size fish, they'll like stage in those spots, and they'll go up and uh, fertilize the eggs and stuff later on. But those can be good spots just to honestly, I like this. They're a little deeper, just sitting and jigging there is works pretty good. So, anyways, we're gonna put some gear together and do the countdown for spring fishing. And we got the bluefin back. So this was my little project boat that I picked up last year. I think we're getting close to done it. This will probably be tomorrow's project, pulling it out. So that'll hopefully be a different video. We're gonna tune the carbs and everything, and just kind of service it and get the boat ready for springtime. So we will see if this becomes the main boat this year. My other boat is out at Diefenbaker, so if this fails, we'll be headed to Diefenbaker, I guess. So there you go. All right, I guess we're gonna wipe the seats off. They're a little bit dusty. Did scrub them down last year, but this thing was in storage for a really long time. I think like 3 to 5 years. Well, I think 3 years for sure, and then it went out once after a 2-year sit, so pretty much 5.
Water on it.
Now let's just get the dust off. Some of that mud and stuff, we'll give it a big wash later, but let's get the dust off so our bums don't get dirty. Alright, so gonna go through my rods and get them all ready. I did rebraid and reline them all last year, so I'm just kind of checking over it, make sure there's no big frays or knots or anything in the ends, and they all look good. Basically, like if I started with 2 rods, hey, if I started with 2 rods, this is kind of the style I'd go with. I got one for trolling, and this one has a 20-pound braid on it, and it's just got a snap swivel at the end.
Daddy.
1 second, sweetie. So I just got a snap swivel to, and basically this would be just for trolling. So a lot of times I just run blades, so I don't really need like a fluorocarbon leader on there because it is part of the spinner. So this works good for that. And my second choice is just basically a style like this. Is braided line. This one's I think this, yeah, 10-pound braid with 8-pound fluoro on it. This one I got a snap swivel on it, but typically I like to have one without a snap swivel on it. It's just hooked straight to the hook. That way if they're being a little bit pickier, this one less thing to distract them. If you're gonna not have the snap swivel in there, it's good to have. Like if you're just down jigging, you don't need it. But if you're trolling or do a lot of pulling, depends on the style of hook, you'll probably want some sort of a barrel swivel between your braided line and your monofilament, or sorry, your fluorocarbon leader. So just to keep the twisting out of the line. So, because sometimes when that line gets all twisted up, your hook will just look like garbage. But anyways, last fall we put snap swivels on everything because we were trying everything. Yeah, this last fall and this past winter is just being about exploring new options, seeing what works and doesn't work. There's a lot of different theories out there. But yeah, we're just playing with everything. And honestly, the biggest thing is if the fish are biting, they're biting, so just get out there. But yeah, I have basically one for trolling and one for like casting / jigging. So my trolling rod, it is long. It's a 8.5 foot medium heavy. It doesn't have to be that long to troll with it. Like I'll troll with like a 6.5 foot too. The reason why I just have a longer is because when I got my kids and stuff with me, the longer I can get my rod away from theirs, the better. So a guy could use planer boards and stuff too. But anyways, I would suggest have 2 rods. Have something for just trolling along and something for casting. And when you're casting, just I swear by the fluorocarbon leader. It makes a big difference. And then, you know, you can either go straight to your hook with no snap swivel or put the snap swivel on. Make sure your snap has a swivel in it. That'll just help your hook look a whole lot better. So yeah, those would be the 2 options to get started for rods. And now we're gonna go through some tackle. All right, and of course we got the Purple Kids rod. This one's manned by Eleanor, and she's ready to go. I think you're excited to go fishing too, hey? And you're excited to ride in the new boat? She says she's gonna sit in the front seats. That's where she's gonna fish at us. So we'll take it out. We'll make sure the motor gets running good, and once we're dialed in, then we'll start putting the electronics and stuff in.
I got a fishy.
I strongly suggest once you get more than one fish and rod, spend a few bucks and get some sort of a carry-in case or some way to transport them where they're not just out loose. I luckily haven't done it with any of my summer rods, but my winter rods, I have definitely snapped and broke a few just from being stored improperly. So cases are honestly cheaper than a rod, so just go buy one. And anytime I've had my rods case, I've never broke one, so do it. So if I had to buy one rod, I'd probably buy a 6.5 foot medium light is what I would buy. I've ran those for years, and they're a good universal rod. You can catch anything on them, so that'd be my number one choice.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm fishy right now.
Oh yeah. I'd also recommend when you buy your kids their first rod, just buy them a real rod. Every time we go to the store, my daughter always wants the cheap little like princess rods or whatever, but anytime we're out fishing, she'll use it. This has been great because she learns how the reels work good. She can run my rods if I need her to, or when we're ice fishing. She's getting used to it. She's 5 now. She's been running these since she was about 3, and she's getting them figured out pretty good. So that would be my suggestion. When we're actually out fishing, she doesn't care that she doesn't have the princess rod. It's only when she sees it in the store. So plus I've honestly fished with this just because it's had the hook on it that I want rather than changing hooks. I'll just grab the rod and fish with it. So yeah, don't buy cheap rods in my opinion. Alright, so I got a couple different tackle boxes, and what I do is I basically throw what I'm not using into one, and then what I want to use I'll throw into one, so that way you just have what you need. Obviously you need your essentials like, you know, some pliers, a little multi-tool's good, knife, spreaders if you're pike fishing. But yeah, I obviously have more in here than what I need. Probably what I might do this year is even just go down to like one of those little tackle trays, and that'll probably be all I carry. Always carry extra spool of monofilament, or sorry, fluorocarbon for your leaders. So I got 10 and a 6. I carry 2 because I like 2 different sizes. If I was to pick one, I'd probably take, yeah, probably the 6, just for the size of fish that I catch. And I do have plastics baits in here, but as far as spring fishing, I'd say they're not super essential. If I was to take just one, I'd probably take like the minnow styled. All right, so you're gonna also want some barrel swivels. It's good to keep a couple of those on hand. So as far as hook goes, like number one thing you should always have is jig heads. Get a couple different colors, couple different sizes. You don't need to carry 100 of them, but having a little variety is good. Keep in mind this is like walleye. This would be a good setup for like perch as well. I do have some pike stuff in here, but we're gonna primarily talk about walleye stuff. I find in the springtime the water's pretty murky, so having like for pike these hooks that run along the top of the water and make a lot of noise are good. Or having like some I'll like cast something like that out and just snap it along the top. It'll dive down a little bit. But yeah, something that keeps it up near the surface I find is a little bit better and makes some noise. Alright, so these crankbaits, like I said, I like to keep them in here for some pike, but they actually work good in the springtime for walleye too, especially shallow runners. Like, depending on your speeds, these will run about 6 feet. So, like having those, they're good for running through the shallows. Yeah, it's funny when you get in here, you're trying to like figure out what are your best baits. But yeah, honestly, a jig with some plastics, like that minnow plastic. But typically in the spring, I'll use like a minnow, or I'll jig down with leeches. And I'd probably say like I definitely will throw in some hair jigs. Got a little variety of them. Yeah, go ahead. Just there's hooks in there, so just be careful which way you're touching, okay? Yeah, look careful. You're gonna get a hook in your finger. See those big hooks in there? Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say they these hair jigs resemble some of the bugs and stuff hatching earlier in the year, and when I've used them, I found them to work good. And that's more so when I'm like running shoreline and casting out shallow and reeling in. They seem to work good that way for me. Alright, so blades would be my next choice. I'd use these any time of the year. I always carry blades with me. They're a great source. Like, fish can be very spread out in the shallows when they're spawning. So using blades just to cover a lot of ground can be awesome. Sometimes you can cast and just not hit, and then I'll pull some blades around and start hitting. Just make sure you got some different weights. So when you're shallow, obviously you'll use something lighter, like I got like a little 3/8 ounce there, and good time to run your blades too, like your spinner blades, in the springtime, because all the weed growth isn't really there yet, so you're not going to get hung up on weeds the whole time. Alright, so my top 3 choices would obviously be the spinning blades, crankbaits, and the jig heads. You don't need as much as I got here. Honestly, I don't know why I have all this stuff. I don't use, I like, these are my 2 favorite cranks. They work good. So I stick with those all the time. I just put new hooks on them every once in a while, and yeah, I got way too much stuff. So if you're just going out fishing, honestly, you can condense it down to like a little tray, just some jigs. I do love like some sort of a spool system for the for your spinner blades. And yeah, I don't know. That's about it. We won't need much more than that. We'll probably get some leeches and some minnows, hey?
Well,
We'll get some minnows and leeches, some baits.
I want
What do you think?
to go fishing right now.
So do I. So one thing I didn't go over, but this would be like definitely my go-to if I was a shoreline fisher. The slip bobber. If you don't know how to run one of these, YouTube it. But yeah, they're great. Especially if you're on shore and got a little bit of wind from behind you, you can just pitch it out to the side and it'll like pendulum along. These things work great. I'll use them in the boat and stuff too, kind of if I just want to sit in one spot and just chill in the boat for a bit or have lunch. I can just pitch one of these out and they work good. They're nice too when you got like the spot lock motors, because you can pitch it out the back and just sit and watch them, so they never get tangled. Pretty easy to keep an eye on. But yeah, slip bobbers are good. They're a little bit more of a setup on your rod, so a little bit of work involved with them, a little bit more complication. Whereas like all the other hooks, it's just literally attaching something to a snap. So yeah, I'm gonna just clean out my box. A lot of times when I have random things of like line that I'm cutting off, I'll stuff it in my box so it doesn't blow into the lake. And then at the end of the year, I just have all this extra stuff in there. So I'm just gonna pull kind of everything out, mostly from the bottom, and just clean out all my garbage and then put it back in neat. So I'll kind of show you another thing too that I've actually used these reels for. So I started doing this. My dad, he's got poor like close-up vision. He's not a big fisherman either. So all this time, these little swivels on here, and then he can put them right to his snaps. And then I'll just put a little monofilament, or sorry, a fluorocarbon. I keep saying mono. Fluoro leader on, and I'll just tie it straight to a jig head. So it just kind of makes it easier, I guess, and then you don't have that snap swivel right on the head, so it just keeps the hook looking a little bit more natural. So that's another thing you could do if you have an extra one of these in your board, is you could just pre-tie a bunch of fluorocarbons to a bunch of jig heads with little swivels on the end, and then you can just put them right on your snaps and you're good to go. Alright, so the whole goal of this channel eventually is to Sasquatch outdoors. I want to cover a good chunk of Saskatchewan. I'd love to actually fish and break down every lake in Saskatchewan. Is it possible? No, there's just so much flying stuff in the north where it's just so hard to access, but I'm definitely going to eventually hit a bunch of it up. Once I get like a big variety of these lakes done, I'm going to start doing lake breakdowns. Once I got like some good mapping and kind of get them figured out. So that's like my goal with this channel, and also just to bring just kind of like simple fishing and some entertainment to you guys. I love what I do. Every time I film, I enjoy it. If there's ever a break in between, it's just probably because I haven't felt like filming. I think a lot of people do this to make money and do something with their channels. It's kind of just a hobby for me. I enjoy doing it. If I could make a lot of money off of it and like fish full time, that'd be pretty sweet. But that's it's kind of unrealistic for me right now. I don't expect to have millions of followers. All right, I got my fishing stuff ready to go. I feel like I'm good to go. I'm gonna get this boat dialed in, and it does run good enough to get me out fishing, but I want to get it running better than it is. All my gear's ready to go. All I got to do is buy some minnows and leeches, and I am set. So goals for this year, I'll still hit up the Chain Lakes by Fort Qu'Appelle. I do a lot of fishing on Mission and a little bit on Katepwa, some on Echo. I've honestly never fished Pasqua, so I'm going to try to expand out a little bit this year. I'm definitely going to do up Diefenbaker. There's a couple areas there. I'm going to do some searching around, try some new things there. I'll still be doing Last Mountain Lake. I'm really going to try and do a little bit more on the north half of the lake this year. I've primarily stuck to the south end. I used to fish the north end a lot more years ago, but now that I live south of the lake, it's just a little bit extra to get to the north end. And yeah, I want to try and hit a boundary this year. It's I think the only place in Saskatchewan you can catch bass. So, and I've never caught a bass before, so I want to get that checked off and do that. Got a little bit of a fishing trip hopefully planned out with my uncle. It won't be a big one or anything. Currently, my wife's in school, so I'm pretty busy on my days off, just helping out with a bunch of extra stuff. Um, I'll probably be out fishing with the kids and my wife a fair bit. So you might see some family fishing stuff again. Probably see some solo fishing stuff. I'm hoping I can get some like new people out with me that don't do a lot of fishing or hardly any at all. Like one of my videos last year, I took my friend Phil out. Um, he's the one in one of my thumbnails. He's holding like the perch. Um, I love taking people that are like interested in fishing and just showing them a bunch of new like techniques and stuff. So there's already like a ton of like how to stuff out there. So I don't know if I'll ever dive into that because like I'm just kind of regurgitating what everybody's already done before. So um, I'll be out fishing. I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing, what I'm using, and some of the fish that I catch. So but yeah, I think that's all I really want to say for today. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you out on the water when spring fishing opens up. See you then.